Peace. Good morning, family. How you doing? It's Mr. R2 here at Consistency is Currency, your morning podcast of choice. And I just want to say good morning to you. It is Tuesday, June the 28th. June is almost up. June is almost over. And July is just around the corner. Peace. Good morning, Miss Anderson. Um, so, yeah. So everybody that's watching right now in the Facebook space, definitely want to say thank you and appreciate you for being here. You could have been anywhere in the morning, but right now you are here with us. Peace. Good morning, Miss Selena, all the way from Waco. That means you got up early, because it's 7:30. You had an hour drive. But today we're going to take our time just a little bit, just enough to put you in the headspace and what we're talking about, what we're going to be talking about. And everybody that's listening to the podcast, I appreciate you as well. And those that are in the YouTube space. So today we're going to be talking about learning how to share the room. Share the room is sometimes a task that most of us is not going to be prepared for or not prepared for. I was in a men's event this past weekend, and somebody said we have to learn how to share the room. And I think sharing the room is really something that is humbling when we learn how to share the room. And as I began to, as soon as I heard it, I was like, oh man, I got to write this down. I mean, that was to me very deep, because sharing the room could often mean sharing yourself, sharing yourself in the room, sharing your gifts that you have in the room with the individuals in the room, all at the same time. So let's go ahead and jump into that. So good morning to you again. So here we go. Share the room. All right. One thing I want to ask you, real quick, sharing the room mean to you? Have you ever had to share yourself with the room to where you knew it wasn't about you? You can say it wasn't about you, and the things that you've done, you didn't do it for you, because sharing, just like a child, to share something and to share a toy, the child doesn't know what sharing is until it is taught to them. Sharing is a learned behavior. Now, some kids naturally are okay with sharing, but the other ones, you gotta you gotta put them in a place to let them know, like, hey, you gotta share this. This is what it's like. When you grow up, there's gonna be things that you're gonna have to share, and we're gonna tap into that today. So let's go ahead and jump into it. All right. So the definition of share, it says a part of something that is divided up, reasonable or normal amount of something. A part of something that is divided up, reasonable or normal amount of something. So as we always do with our definition, we invert the definition in order for you to see things from a different perspective. But again, everything that you see, you can always go back and reference it for yourself. So the inversion here is white over red. So paying attention and focusing on a reasonable or normal amount of something. A reasonable or normal amount of something. So, and let's begin to talk about sharing the room. So let's take this quick deep dive. When it goes into sharing the room, that means there is something that you're letting go. When it comes to sharing the room, that means there is something that you're going to have to coexist with as well. Because it's not always about you. It's not always about how you feel. It's not always about what you're doing. Sometimes it's about what's the end state, what's the goal, why am I here, what drives me, what are my drivers, what are the things that push me to where I desire to be. And learning and understanding that if you're ever going to share the room with anyone in the physical sense, you must have to understand that you're going to have to share the room in your spiritual and psychological and emotional sense. Because if you can't share the room with yourself, then how can you create the ability for you to share the room with anybody else? So the first thing we have to look at, that I want you to look at in sharing the room, is your inner voice with the outside noise. Knowing how to fight and knowing when fighting has been enough. The inner conversations that you have with yourself, and knowing how to have those outward, having the outward approach. You have to share that, because there has to be some sort of balance. That's like somebody who always come off rah, but they don't know how to balance that. So what are you saying to you in your moment of silence? What are you saying to you in the moment that you have with yourself? Your inner noise, or your inner voice, I should say, your inner voice has to have a voice of itself. Your inner voice has to have a level of power itself. And the outside noise sometimes can be an influence, but the outside noise can also be a distraction. So you have to balance and share the room with the inner you, as well as what is being outwardly expressed. It is okay to express yourself with the outside noise, just as well as it is okay for you to sit still and listen to the inner voice. That's knowing what to say, when to say it. That's wisdom. Knowing what to say, when to say it. Knowing what to do when it's time to do. And learning to understand that this may be the time that I need to sit this one out. But if need be, I know how to stand up, and I know how to execute, and I know how to take action. That's a balance between the you that you are on the inside and the you that you be on the outside. And after you begin to do that, you have to begin to balance your accomplishments. Yes, you've accomplished that goal. Great, good job. That does not mean that it's over. That does not mean that the work is done. That does not mean that you, pat yourself on the back and you just stop learning. There is a balance between your accomplishments and your goals, because if you have goals in abundance, but a limited amount of accomplishments, then you have to balance out between what you actually really want to do and what are just ideas, and what actionable objectives are you actually going to apply in order for you to accomplish those things that you had set out for yourself. So balance your accomplishments. Look at them. Understand what you did that worked. Not being afraid to write it out, to say, okay, I did it. I can do better the next time. And what did I do that worked? It's like taking for those in military, that's like creating your internal AAR or your internal after action report to say, okay, bet, boom, I made $100 today selling this product. Okay, I did it. So now let's write down what you did in order for you to have the actions to do it again. It's great that you accomplished it, but now what did you do that you can sustain in order to do it over and over again? So balance your accomplishments, and that will definitely teach you how to share the room with what you want and where you're going. So after you that, and you have to understand, have to see yourself there, like, okay, bet I balanced my goals. So now how do I go about doing it again? Like, you know what? I already see it. I see it so clear. And because I see it so clear, I know how to actually do it again, because me seeing it is allowing me to believe it. Me having the expectations of it happening is going to allow me to continue to push myself. Because if faith is unseen, then my actions have to match my faith. Because if I'm ever going to get there, I must internally see myself there before I am physically there. So that means that there is work that I need to do. There are steps that I need to take. There is a process that I need to understand. There is a system that I have to create in order for me to get there. There is a behavior that I have to exemplify in order for me to get there. It's like saying, I want to have $100,000 at the end of the year. But in order for me to get to $100,000, I have to say, okay, I can see it. But now, because I see it, what are the steps that I need to take in order to get there? That's creating the balancing act between spending and saving. That's creating the actionable objective that if I am going to create this tangible universe for myself, I must understand that there is a process within my mind, or a process within my actions, or my character has to understand that I am going to get there. So after you have begun to seeing yourself there has to be a reasonable way of doing things. Now, what does that mean? Because remember, in the definition of share, it says reasonable. So now let's talk about what the reasonable is. So that's like you saying, I can't afford to extra mile today, but you really cannot afford it because you have a goal. I can't afford to take this class because I don't have enough time. I mean, you probably do if you actually map out the time that you have set for yourself, because the class that you take has a second, third, and fourth effects if you don't take it, because you may have the ability to create more income for yourself if you actually buckle down and take that class. That is balancing between the unreasonable and reasonable. That's knowing what you want to do and making it happen. It may suck. It may hurt. That extra mile may seem lonely. That extra mile may feel like a thorn in your side. That extra mile may be very painful, and doing the extra things will most definitely create some extra room for you to grow. Because the very thing that you may see as unreasonable can actually be done within reason. And you're going to have to share the room with that. If the outcome that you have for yourself is ever going to come to pass, you're going to have to do things that you may feel or say you're uncomfortable with doing. But the outcome will be greater because you pushed yourself. The outcome be greater because you understood that if I am ever going to get there, I have to be encouraged in order for me to accomplish that thing. Because sometimes courage may be unreasonable. But after you have accomplished it, it's now within reason. I'm going to say that again. Sometimes having courage may seem unreasonable, especially in an unfamiliar place. Having courage may feel unreasonable, but after you have accomplished that thing that you was afraid to do, or after you have accomplished that thing that you felt like you didn't have enough courage to do, is now within reason, because you've pushed yourself and you set the tone, not only for the rest of your day, but you have set the tone on how you can actually create a much better tomorrow for you. All right, so do you have it in you to share the room? Do you have it in you to see yourself there before you get there? Do you have it in you to accomplish those things that you know that need to be accomplished? Do you have it in you to listen to your inside voice and block out the outside noise? You may have to share the room with other individuals in order for you to accomplish those goals. So that may be your reasonable. Sitting down and being humble in your approach, and sitting down and putting yourself in a place, in a position to know if we're ever going to get this thing done, we must know that we have to share the room today. Let's set our differences to the side and let's share the room. Let's share the rooms with our gifts. Let's share the rooms with our talents. Let's share the rooms with our skills. Let's share the rooms with our faith. Let's share the rooms with our love. Let's share the rooms with our passion. Let's share the rooms with our vision. Let's share the rooms with our dreams. And then the next thing we have to do is take that next step together. But there is going to have to be a shared component. There is going to have to be something that is done, reasonably done. But if we got to do the unreasonable thing, sit down and have a hard and tough conversation, then let's go ahead and work and walk through that. But you have to learn how to share the room. All right. Whoever that was for, who've been fighting something and trying to walk away from another, share the room. Sit down and figure that out. Because you may have more things in common than you expect. So write it out, write the vision, make it plain, and acknowledge that there is more there than you thought. Now it's just time for you to share the room. All right, so definitely appreciate everybody for being here. Mr. R2 here at Consistency is Currency, your morning podcast of choice. If you ever want to go back and listen to all of the episodes, go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and just type in Consistency is Currency. This is episode 161. So we've been doing this for a while. So if it's your first time listening to the platform, you can go back and listen to the other episodes that we've done thus far. So it's been blessed to share the room with you. For those that come every morning and those who be here periodically, however you do, we're gonna share this digital relationship right now. So as I push energy on you, I receive energy as well, because I want nothing but the best for you, just as well as I want nothing but the best for me. All right, you guys be blessed, and remember, today be blessed. Today is another day for you to be successful, and tomorrow gives you another opportunity to do it all over again. Y'all be blessed. Peace.